Hey guys, and welcome back. My name is D-Free, and for today's video, we have a fun topic. We're going to be talking about the likelihood of ultra rarity characters popping up a lot more consistently, starting very soon with another release. Yes, after hit very soon on Legends. Hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you are new, hit that subscribe, and if you have been supporting the content, especially right now, and more importantly right now than ever, I really do appreciate you for tuning in, and I mean that from the bottom of my heart. And if you haven't been tuning in as consistently, I do appreciate you as well for at least watching this one. Hopefully you can tune into some more going forward. It's a little bit of a tough time for me, so I really do appreciate that. So what kind of sparked this idea? I was talking to a friend on Twitter a few days ago, and I really kind of said, okay, I don't think that they'll get to a point yet where they're ready to commit to monthly releases, but there is some evidence that may suggest that that might be what's kind of happening. And there are some trends in the game that kind of point to it as well, so we're going to talk about all of that. But before we do, there's two things we're going to do. We're going to deep dive into some banner formats that we have currently, talk about them, and the fact that if you really look at it, the only banners that are releasing on Legends are all premium banners. So we're kind of getting to a point where if everything's premium, almost nothing is? Question mark, right? Kind of weird stuff happening. What happened to this banner type? We'll talk about that in a second and more. So stay tuned. Be sure to listen through. This is going to be a jam-packed video. But I want to ask you guys right here and now, are you excited about more frequent ultras, on the game? We've already been seeing it a little bit. These two were almost a month apart. They're basically a month apart. A few days, give or take, a month apart. So we've already kind of seen it. Are you excited about that becoming the norm? Let me know. I've seen some people say yes. I don't know why most people would be, but without some incredible changes, which we'll talk about in a second, to the banner format, the amount of ultras on banners, there's just a lot that needs to change. I would be open to it in that case, but for now, I'm not really excited about it, but that's just because I don't really want to spend too much money on Legends anymore. Anywho, moving on. Let's talk about it. Let me know. So this banner type, is this banner type dead and gone? It could be. I doubt it though. The reason why is because I think they still need an avenue to port these types of characters to the game. These characters that are non-LF, non-ultra sparking characters, right? That's why this banner type has always existed. Whether it was the Ultra Space Time, whatever the case is, this banner type has always existed in various formats. However, they've always had an issue trying to incentivize people to summon on these banners while holding out some of their characters. And first it was the Legends Rising characters. Those were the quote-unquote premium characters. They would only be on Legends Rising banners only, and they weren't even LFs or anything like that. But then we get LFs, and then we get step-ups, and well, step-ups then LFs, and all this stuff happens, right? And they've always had an issue incentivizing players to summon on these banners while withholding some of those perks, so people feel inclined to summon on those banners too. So we hit this point with this banner type where once upon a time they would have characters bundled in. I think the last one was the Rage Super Saiyan 2 Purple Vegeta when he released the first release. Well, he hasn't got a Zenkai, so you get my point. When he released, they were still, and I think he was the last one, bundling Z Power with Chrono Crystals in the shop, things like that. Nowadays they bundle, I guess kind of similarly, where you spend the Z Power to get almost 6-star limit break on the character. So they've always had issues with this, but I don't think this type is gone, especially if their plan is to have them sit for 3 months. This banner type was up for this banner was up for 3 months. We haven't actually had a new one of these since basically September. So we'll see what happens. Now, the natural progression is to just put those characters on the step-up banners with LFs and stuff. This is what players want, right? This is what players want. But I don't think they're going to give us all what players want. It's going to be some give and take, because if they do that, then we are definitely heading towards the timeline where they start putting out ultras a lot more consistently. But I do think they'll still find a way to trickle these banners in, because like I said, everything is premium, except at that point, to me, nothing is. But the only thing that actually, to be fair, the only thing that releases nowadays that isn't literally a premium banner are those. Every now and again we'll get a banner like this, and I guess this is technically our Legends banner that we had recently, but this isn't a new character banner. But look, they incentivized with 30 slot removers. Okay, cool. Anywho, but those types of banners aren't premium. And then the Zenkai banners, those are the only banners that pop up anymore that are not premium. Anyway, moving on. So let's take a look into kind of what we've been getting. It's been almost 5 months since this guy released, dude. Time is flying. So what this means, by the way, is that the anniversary is in a couple of months. two and a half months basically. Dude, anniversary's already back almost. So yeah. So here's the funny thing: if we get an Ultra this month, which I do think we'll get, and I'll talk about who I think that is when we get to that in a second, because I think it's pretty obvious who we're gonna get, and I think it's pretty obvious that the LF for the anniversary is probably gonna be something too. I don't know. Anyways, moving on. Almost 5 months. But if we get an LF or an Ultra now and then an Ultra for the anniversary, I mean, that's not very much time gap either. What happened to the 3-month period needed to create Ultras? I'll talk about that in a second too. We get this around basically on Thanksgiving. 2 weeks later, we get this. 2 weeks later, we get this. Then 2 weeks after, basically, give or take, it's 2 weeks and some change, we get this. And then just under 2 weeks, we get this. And by the way, every other week is either a Zenkai week or a dead week or something like this, right? Anyway, the point is there's almost a month between these two releases. It's just this, then 2 weeks later this, then 2 weeks after that this. So 2 weeks after this, by the way, was this. And there was nothing at the end of February, because I think it's because two reasons. First and foremost, the short month, right? February being a traditionally short month, well, literally always. But also because of the in-person event going on. So I think they're probably withholding something. And with current stuff that's been releasing, being Future Saga, one would surmise that the next character is going to be an Ultra. Because I think in 2 weeks, again, they'll follow their normal trend where around the 14th through whatever the date is, 14th through 18th, they'll drop another LF. That means that unless they go 2 more weeks with nothing, means that, yes, there's going to be an Ultra, because that just makes the most sense. They're not going to go another 2 weeks after literally having nothing for 2 weeks. They're not going to do it another 2 weeks. Anyways, there will be an Ultra, because that just makes sense, because typically when there's an Ultra, the trend is that there's nothing really before that. Following recent patterns, that would lead you to believe it's either a Zamasu or Goku Black. And if I had to bet, if I had money on it, it would be Goku Black. Take that for what you will. I think an Ultra Rose is coming. He's also the character that always, between Bandai in general and all their platforms, they market Goku Black exponentially more than they market Zamasu. It's going to be Goku Black. So again, assuming it is Future Saga, because they kind of were also doing up until just a couple of weeks ago, they were doing this stuff, Tournament Power stuff, but they did give us a Tournament Power Ultra, right? He's from Tournament Power, right? Not from the first tournament. Anywho, so yeah, just bear with me as we kind of talk about that. So I guess that's a good segue. Well, if we're gonna get an Ultra in a little bit, what happened to the every 3 months thing? First and foremost, I'm going to pour one out for free Ultras, because we haven't had one of those in a long time. Omega was like the last one, right? And there was a decent gap between him and Vegeta. I don't remember. Do we only have 3? I don't know. Free Ultras are dead. Okay. I don't know. They've all been ported over to being summon characters, I imagine. So I do think on that front, there is an immense workload for them to try to put out Ultra characters with decent regularity as summonable characters, and it means that it takes away from our free opportunities. That's not me saying that we'll never get another one. I think that it might pop up for the anniversary, and that's like it. Like, I don't think we're gonna get those anytime soon type deal. Anyway. So I think that they've started cutting corners a bit with the characters. I think the quality of character has dipped a decent bit, and it's not really like a hit thing. For example, I think that Hit for the most part is solid, not in terms of what he does, but just the design choice on him, the way that the character is designed, right? I think that they've cut corners for a long time with Ultras quietly, where they're giving them the same animations. It's just copy paste the same animation basically over, where it's the same charge, whether it's the same blast animation. I hate that. Not all of them have it, but I hate the one where they do little, the normal blast animation that was on the first 2. I hate that one. It's so annoying. The charge animation also, I hate the little hiccup in the first frame of the charge one. The same clash on the Dokubaki, a lot of the same stuff. And then there's other little things that kind of get ported on these characters, whether it's from other versions of the character. Sometimes I believe they're even just flat out stealing the model, like Hit. I don't know if this is the same Hit model that we've already had in the game for a while, or if there's some slight alterations, but either way, obviously they're just going to start from that baseline, right? It just makes the most sense. But even little things like this Hit, they zoom in on his foot for a split second and show the foot pivot. I talk about that all the time every time I revisit Ultra Goku, because that's such a cool thing to me. It's not anywhere near as cool on Hit, even though I love Hit more as a character than that one. I can't really say that because I really like that Goku form. Anyways, so there's been some cutting of corners, right? So I think that some of that has lessened their workload. But to be completely honest, with this being all they're putting out, and Zenkai's requiring literally no effort, I'm dead. Dude, Zenkai's already required no effort, but the Zenkais that they're putting out now are a mockery. They don't even, like, the characters are getting better, obviously, but they're like literally doing nothing. They are literally doing nothing. So they're not working on anything but new characters. And they don't give us any 1% sparkings on most occasions. This banner came with an EX. EXs are the most criminal, we're not doing anything releases in the game, because while some of them are solid, she actually I thought was really good. The EX Goku that came out with Vegeta, and Vegeta's okay, but I really like the Goku here. But they're reusing animations entirely. Like, they're not doing anything with the EXs, so they don't even count. They very rarely give us these 1% sparking characters, which is why I said these characters still need an avenue where they're available to come out. But that opens up a host of issues in that, okay, well, what's up with the banner type? Are you going to make these a step up, or what's up? How are you going to incentivize people to pull on these? And how do you incentivize people to pull on these when you keep dropping, other banners people should be spending on instead? And now you're trickling in ultras, and ultras is a whole other thing too, because again, they don't give us 1% sparkings here. I think that at the bare minimum, by the way, on new Ultra banners, they have to start putting those characters here. They have to give us more. They cannot just give us the new Ultra and call it a day. The only thing that's good about the Ultra banner is that if you need some of these other LFs that they put on them, that's okay, right? They'll have Zenkais or Plats, or a lot of times a decent amount of the LFs in the game are usable to an extent. Whether that's a bench character or they have a Zenkai, it doesn't mean they'll be meta, but they're at least usable, right? And so the pool is isolated to only 5 characters, so props to that, I guess. But yeah, the featured pool anyway. But like, we will, and this is normal gacha stuff, this was the trend that happened with LFs too. We will hit a point where there are going to be more than one Ultras on banners, but it just needs to come sooner than later. What they do, in order to give people the Ultra characters, what they freaking do is all the time, oh my god, all the Zenkais are going to be right here, because they just made it to where all the Zenkais are available all the time, so they're all up the front now. All the time they rerun the Ultra banners. I am so tired of seeing this one. I'm so tired of seeing this banner. God damn it. They brought the same exact banner back like a dozen times, it feels like. It's probably closer to like 6. But I'm so tired of them rerunning these. There will come a time where there's going to be a Kaioken Goku and Hit banner that comes out. There will come a time where we'll have 3 Ultras. It may just be a year from now, 2 years from now. I don't know. It really depends on how much saturation of Ultras there is. Next thing is that the unfortunate issue with Ultras coming out is that there's a trickle-down economic effect, in that it means that, okay, what happens with LFs? Okay, because Ultra banners need a complete revamp. They need more characters that are new on the banners. Like I said, the 1%, they need more than one Ultra on the banner. They need to follow the trend of LF banners when those really hit their stride back towards Legends Festival of 2020, where we were getting 3-4 characters on banners. So that's when people were really happy, because after that, in January of 2021, they started the monthly LF trend and started saturating the market with LFs, and now they don't do anything. They don't even try. There are, like, if I went through the banners from, like, I think Jiren was like one of the first ones of last year. If I go back through the banners from last year, so many of them will have like only an LF and EX or 2 EXs. They're not even trying. They're not trying. So these need a complete revamp and all that stuff. But what happens with these banners is the real question. I think the next logical step is if they're going to continue to funnel Ultras out with regularity and not wait like how they did last year they were putting them out on an average of like once every like 2.5 months, I recall, something like that. If they're not going to wait that long, if they're going to put them out every month or month and a week, this needs to change. Okay, these can no longer be at 0.5. I think the next logical step is to change these to 0.75. I'm not even going to talk about EXs. There's no reason an EX should be half the rate almost of the new LF. This doesn't make any sense. I've talked about this and ranted about this for years. It makes no sense. Anyways, these need to be at 0.75 at minimum. You can also say ultras need to go to 0.5. I do think that is true. But I do think that ultras being the next rarity up are not going to change for a while. However, LF is not a rarity. Okay, LF is not a rarity. These are glorified sparkings. They are literally sparking characters. So why not push them up to 0.75? Because I understand not pushing them to 1% because they have premium nature to them. They have the nice glossy finishes, but 0.75. Come on. If you're gonna start putting out these, you've gotta even things out somewhere. Because quietly on the baseline of all of this is the issue with CC and free-to-play players and all that stuff. What is the next logical avenue for those players after the economy changes with more ultras, right? Because the spenders are not, and I spend money on the game, but I've probably, I think it's pretty fair to say that for 2023 so far, I've spent like less than $100, which is a lot of money in the aggregate, but like not a lot for content creation. I make that back with like a video. Like that's not a lot of money to like not spend on content creation. So for me, it means I've not been spending anything. So spenders will say, yeah, this is fine. I want more ultras and stuff. And because at the end of the day, you just want, if you're like a spender or a YouTuber, whatever, you just want more characters to play with and more videos, blah, blah, blah. But it squeezes out the players that can't do that, right? So then you'll have to make an executive decision. What am I even summoning on anymore? Well, then what's the most enticing banner at that point, right? What are the best banners? I think right now we have a nice balance of the best characters being in the game, being both ultra and being sparking rare, well, LF, right? Where there's a nice balance where you could take several of each rarity and use them in the highest of tiers and be super successful, right? Obviously that's going to be more dominated currently by LFs because there's just more of them. They outnumber ultras by a nasty margin, but I think that that'll even out more, and I think they've reached a nice blend on character quality and management of power creep. For the most part, there are some stupid things that I really don't think needed to release with some of these characters, but I'll leave that for the imagination. But I do think that the next question is, what do we summon on? And I can't tell you right now what that is, because I need to see what this turns into, right? And if you're looking for a change for ultra risings or ultra banners, right, I wouldn't expect anything pre-anniversary. I wouldn't expect any changes pre-anniversary, in which there will be another ultra released for anniversary, and it's an extremely early prediction, and most people are already predicting this because he just makes the most sense out of any other character. The most notable character probably we don't have is Vegito Blue. It's an extremely early prediction, but I would bank on that being what, because it makes the most sense. It already makes sense. I don't care what they do in terms of like, if they even don't do Future again for another 3 months and they don't do anything for the anniversary, it just makes sense. That's Vegito. Especially because the last celebration gave us Vegito Blue. It makes sense. They're gonna do it. I'm here to tell you they're gonna do it. And I don't really care. So it just makes sense. So I'm gonna conclude there. We are in an interesting time where I really do think they've got to find a way to juggle several things. The amount of characters releasing in the game. The thing I'll say about the amount of characters releasing in the game is you don't want more characters releasing. Most people don't, because it means there's more for you to have to summon on. Because especially in a game like Legends where the power creep is nasty, you have to typically have the higher echelon characters to really compete in competitive gameplay. Now that's a pretty normal thing for gacha PvP games, but you don't want more characters for that. But you do need more characters releasing, because Zenkais almost don't exist, because their Zenkais are not high enough of quality to impact change. But you need more higher quality characters releasing in general, whether they're 1% sparkings, which I think I think 1% Sparkings are the true outlier here with these characters like Pan and Piccolo and Zamasu and 17. These are characters, and some of the other ones that are a little bit older I really like Whis. These are characters, I'm not saying Whis is on some of their tiers, but I think he's really good. Anyways, these are the characters that are on the bubble that can really help impact the meta, right? That's the thing I want to say, is you need more characters trickling in to impact the meta. Because if you put 2 new characters or 3 new characters in a month, especially if they're saturated to the same teams, there is no change, and there can't be change for a solid period of time. because what happens is the game has so much power creep that the characters that were decent 5 months ago or 4 months ago are subpar now, right? So they've got to find a way to put out more characters consistently and put out more characters in different teams. This whole, we're going to buff one team for a month or a month and a half thing, it works right now for this team because this team was dead. This team was dead. The one on the screen currently. But it's not going to work for most other teams that have decent baselines already. So we'll see what happens going forward, but they've got a lot of stuff to juggle, man, and I'm really curious. I don't know that they can do it in a successful way. I'm honest. Being honest, I don't know that they can do it in a way that people will generally be happy with. I think we're going to wind up just accepting where this game goes in terms of this. But they could really make some really positive changes, like I said, by changing LF rates finally. First and foremost, that needs to change. It can't stay at 0.5 with them coming out on the month every month. And Ultras, if Ultras, and this is all hinging on Ultras, I think that needs to change anyway, but if Ultras are truly going to be a monthly thing, or basically a monthly thing, because we've already technically missed that by a few days, something has to give. Something has to give. The Ultra banners need to be changed. Something has to give. So we'll see what happens. Hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Hit the thumbs up and subscribe. Let me know what you guys think down below, and I'll see you in the next one.